Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you have been following the progress on the K&R and Scenic Valley Railroad build, you will know that I have got all the track installed on the middle level, as well as the wiring and the control systems for it. And we've already had some test trains running everywhere on the first two levels. Well, this week's video will cover a different kind of progress. Initially, I was hoping to be able to get on with the scenery in the spring diorama, where the tall trestle crosses the valley. But as is so often the case, I discovered that there was other tasks that had to be taken care of first. Hence the reason for naming this segment a scenic diversion. I thought that was appropriate. Anyway, without further ado, let's just head out into the workshop and get to work.
Well, as you can see, I have a big pile of pink foam sheets. I have both 1 and 2 inch thicknesses. It's all cut up because I don't currently have a truck. I had to get it into the back of my Jeep. The main reason for the pink foam is that I need to rough in this river valley while it's still easily accessible before I start building the upper deck. I also have a few other tasks to take care of. This large piece here is the absolute largest I could get diagonally through the tailgate of the Jeep. That I'm going to trim to fit in here, and that will be the removable base for the airfield. And obviously the only sensible way to mark that out to a good fit is to put it on top of the backdrop and then draw around it. And obviously that can't be done after I start building the bench for the third level. So I need to get that taken care of the day before I forget. I also want to get all the bridge track painted before I remove the trestle for safekeeping. If we look up into the rafters, you can see that I'm experimenting with a new time-lapse camera location. I don't know whether or not that will work well, but I will find out this evening. So let me get organized and get to work, and I'll check in with you again later. Well, I've had to make a tool for clamping the bridge rails, and while the glue is drying, I've been working on this bit. As you can see, I've positioned it on top of the backdrop and weighted it down with bricks, and then I climbed in underneath and I drew around the edge of the backdrop with a black Sharpie, and now I can just remove it and cut it out either with a jigsaw or the bandsaw. So we do that, and I'll be right back. Well, there it is, a perfect fit first time. It turned out to be too big and cumbersome to take it to the bandsaw, so I did it with the jigsaw, which really doesn't matter because the back edge is going to be completely hidden anyway. I already have supports along the back edge, which are exactly the same height as the sub roadbed along the front, so it sits nice and level. Although I think I still need another support in that back corner because there's nothing there yet. And then I need a block along the bottom of it glued on so that it holds it in the right place. Well, I've just got part way through masking the trestle when I realised that the outer guardrails that I attached with the solvent are popping off. So obviously it's not compatible with the ties. I'm going to have to re-glue them with super glue. At first I saw the end wasn't stuck and I was just about to re-glue it, and I realised they've popped off all the way along. All the bridges are the same. They've come off everywhere. So clearly the solvent isn't working. I'm going to have to super glue them. So let me make a detour and do that, and I'll be right back. Well, here are the tools that I have made for clamping the bridge guardrails. It is 2 thin strips of masonite glued to a piece of plywood, and by putting it that way up with weight on the top, I can clamp the guardrails in place with the high spot in the middle clearing the running rails, which are higher. I have 3 long pieces for the straight bridges, and I cut one into shorter lengths for the curved trestle. So I can now re-glue the guardrails. Let me do that and I'll be right back. Well, this is what that new clamping device looks like in use. You can see how the rails go between the masonite strips. So all the load from the weights is on the guardrails, which I'm trying to glue. Done the trestle and the other bridge at the back, although I moved that away because it was easier to reach on the workbench. Since I've now got to wait for that glue to dry, I can't work in this area anymore, so I'm just going to go around the other side of the railroad and install some more fascia. Although I bought 2 whole sheets of masonite yesterday, I found that I still had a few offcuts, and the next piece to go in is the transition piece from the 2 levels to 1 at this point. So I'm going to make that piece and then continue from there. Well, here is the transition fascia, where we have to get rid of the staging level and drop the level above it slightly. This piece cannot be permanently installed because it crosses a benchwork joint. At the moment it's just held in place with 3 staples. When it comes time to assemble the railroad in the client's train room, I plan on gluing it in place with painter's cork, because I think that will give a strong enough joint to keep it in place while not being so permanent that it can't be carefully pried off if the client ever needs to move the railroad. I've no idea what radius I used. For the inside curves I drew around a roll of masking tape, and for the S-bend around the bottom I took it inside and drew around a pan lid. And that's the complicated bit. Everything else is straightforward from now on. Well, I've installed 3 pieces of fascia. I decided to 2-piece this benchwork section because it made it a lot easier than cutting it accurately to start with. And this piece needed to be more than 96 inches long, so I just used the offcut for that. I had to 2-piece it anyway. Well, I didn't get many blocks stacked up today. In fact, I didn't get any styrofoam stacked up. But I did a whole lot of other things. The biggest delay was, of course, redoing the bridge guardrails. That was unexpected. But I've got a lot of fascia done, and this is still gluing. It's still early this afternoon, but by the time this glue is set and the clamps can be removed, it'll be just about time to go in. And I don't really want to start stacking up the blocks until I've got enough time to finish it. So I'm going to just make it an early day and then get on with my inside work. I have got quite a lot of fascia installed. I've got a long piece in here. I've got another long piece ready to go in. And I've got 4 short pieces in around this end. So this corner is done. There is, of course, a gap between these 2 dioramas. There will be a trestle viewing window in there, but I haven't designed it yet. If I had more clamps, I could glue more fascia on. But I've already removed all the clamps I can. This piece here, it really wanted to spring out, which is why I have so many clamps holding it. I need every one of them. And that doesn't leave me a lot of clamps to do anything else with. And of course the next long piece is going to be the same around here. I'm going to need all those clamps moved over to this side tomorrow. Well, this morning is Wednesday, the last Wednesday in March. I have a few tasks I want to take care of today. Yesterday I got the bridge track painted across the trestle and across this double track plate girder bridge. Today I want to do all the other bridges. That's only a minor task. I also want to finish the fascia and stack up all the foam blocks in this area to rough in the valley shape. If you recall, yesterday I didn't get that started because I had a few delays and there wasn't enough time left in the day to finish it. I have to start by recycling all the clamps since they can all come off now. The most awkward piece of fascia, of course, is going to be the one in this corner. It mirrors this one, so clearly I'm going to need a lot of clamps on it. So I need 3 pieces around here and then that's done. Well, about an hour has passed this morning and I have the last 3 pieces of fascia installed on this level. Of course, most of the time was getting this curve right. The rest of it was straightforward. And I've also got stiffener blocks to support the top corners at benchwork joints there and on the other side, and splice plates on the inside where I'm joining fascia within the same section. So now with that out of the way, I can just concentrate on the shape of this valley. So let me start stacking up blocks and I'll be right back. Well, I now have everything organized. I'm going to be gluing everything together with this gripper, which I've showed before on an earlier video some time ago. I've already cut up the first couple of rows worth of blocks. The goal here is that I have to bridge over the 1/2-inch plywood base for the trestle. So I'm just going to remove all of these pieces without shuffling the order and then glue them in place, and then I'll continue from there. Should go fairly quickly now. I'll check in with you again later. Well, I've been stacking up blocks for a couple of hours and I've got more than 2 feet up the river valley. That's 2 feet vertically. Of course, going around the trestle legs is just lots of little pieces. Now I can get a nice big plank on here which will anchor everything together. That one goes in there. You may notice that I'm staggering the joints as much as I can. See, this one's a joint that way, and then that way, and then that way, just so everything locks together. And then by tomorrow this gripper will have had time to dry and it'll be rock hard. Anyway, time to continue. I'll check in with you again later. Well, that is all I'm going to do for now. I have got the bulk of the valley roughed in. The single track tunnel is going to be a solid rock bore, so that's why I've gone over it. There is going to be some kind of a cast portal in the back, although I haven't decided what's going in there yet. That's why I just left it open. As you can see, it stops here at the benchwork joint. I think I want to get this major area shaped before I decide what to put in here, because with the turnout being down there, I want to go with a much thinner shell. I'm thinking I might use cardboard strips in that area, but I can't do that until I know approximately what shape the landscape's going to be. Anyway, the stream that winds up this cliff face, well, actually down, but I'm going backwards, and under that bridge will actually make a sharp turn and run along here for some distance along behind the track before disappearing in amongst the trees. But then, once again, that is on the next board, so I will do that some other time.
Well, that is all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show. In the next installment, I will get stuck deeper into the scenery in that area. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.